to Visit Gahanna's virtual annual meeting presentation. My name is Jody Brown-Spivey, and I'm the current board president and owner of Expressions Floral Design Studio. Last year was a year of change, to say the least. Not only were we challenged with a pandemic, but we also operated with all new staff. Our new director, Lori Kappas, started in January of 2020 and hit the ground running. She came to us with over 20 years of experience in the travel, tourism, marketing industry. It has been my pleasure to work with her, and I can't wait for you to meet her in person when we can. I would like to take a moment for the staff of Visit Gahanna and the Ohio Herb Center to introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Kaylee Bowe, and I am the Community Development and Event Specialist for Visit Gahanna. I am the person who plans all of our fun events as well as works with our community partners in order to ensure that all of our events are fun and safe for Gahanna residents and visitors alike.
Hi there, my name is Madison Ashby. I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager for Visit Gahanna. I'm the face behind our social media channels as well as our blog posts, and I manage our websites and work on ad design.
Hi, my name is Amanda Ferguson, and I am the coordinator of the Ohio Herb Center. My job is to work on classes, teach, answer people's questions when they come into the Herb Center, and convey all of the knowledge that we hold in Gahanna, being the herb capital of Ohio.
Hi, my name is Shannon Barnett, and I am an educator here at the Ohio Herb Center. I teach a lot of the gardening classes and craft classes, as well as working in the gift shop.
These ladies have done a wonderful job, and I would like to personally thank them for a job well done. We also have a fantastic group of board members that I would like to introduce to you. Our vice president is Ron Smith. He is the owner of SOH Productions, who is responsible for this video today. He is also the director of Neighborhood Bridges in Gahanna. Next is our treasurer, Jessica Cottrell, owner of 101 Beer Kitchen. Secretary of the board is Megan Stevens, who came to us from Marriott Hotels. General board members are Jessica Williams, principal of Gahanna Lincoln High School, Ron Stokes, president and CEO of Three Leaf Productions, Brad Fisher, owner of C-Suites and Gahanna Chamber of Commerce president, Tony Gilfroy, owner of Noble Cut Distillery, and Brian Moore, general manager of Gahanna's two Marriott properties, Spring Hill Suites and Town Place Suites. Representing the city, we have Mayor Lori Jadwin and Councilman Jamie Leesburg. Let me introduce to you Lori Kappas, who is now going to give us a look at her team's accomplishments over the last year.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for our presentation. We're so excited to share with you all the fun things we've been working on in 2020. 2020 was an interesting year for Visit Gahanna. The first couple of months we were able to market and promote tourism in Gahanna as we normally do. We had booths at the AAA Great Vacations Expo and the Gahanna Kids Fest. The Ohio Herb Center staff made appearances at the Dispatch Home and Garden Show. We also attended the American Bus Association Marketplace, representing the state of Ohio, in an attempt to gain motor coach group business. We participated in the bridal show held at La Navona, where we spoke to potential brides about the services we offer. Then the world stopped. We were getting ready to host our annual meeting and had to cancel it. Since no one was traveling, we had to adapt our marketing. Instead of focusing on bringing visitors to Gahanna, we decided to concentrate on creating activities for area residents. We released a Gahanna scavenger hunt, thinking this would be a safe activity for families and a reason to get out of the house. We also promoted the idea of geocaching and even placed a cache at the Ohio Herb Center for people to find. So far, nearly 50 people have found our cache. In an effort to help local restaurants, when indoor dining was shut down, we created a takeout bingo contest and a picnic in a park campaign, encouraging Columbus area residents to order takeout to enjoy in our parks. We showcased 31 local restaurants and received over 150,000 total impressions from digital and print media mentions, as well as a certificate of achievement from Ohio Travel Association. We also featured a summer series promoting themed staycations, which were designed to give families, couples, and singles some ideas of ways they could enjoy what is in their own community. Through this series, we were able to highlight over 40 Gahanna businesses, attractions, and we earned a Certificate of Excellence from Ohio Travel Association. When the shutdown happened, we were knee-deep into the planning of Herb Day. When it became clear that we would not be able to hold the event in person, we decided to hold it virtually. This meant that we would do a week-long social media event on the Ohio Herb Center's Facebook page that brought attention to the sponsors, speakers, and vendors that were otherwise scheduled to be at the in-person event. We made over 50 Facebook posts that were shared 70 times, reaching over 23,500 Facebook users. Many of the sponsors and vendors reached out and thanked us for the free promotions they received. Not long after canceling Herb Day, it became apparent that we wouldn't be able to host Creekside Blues and Jazz Festival. We held on as long as we could, hoping things would get better, but we finally had to make the agonizing decision to cancel. We didn't want people to forget about the festival, though, so we created a social media campaign during the week that would have been CBJF week that included contests, giveaways, and fun pictures, hoping to create excitement around 2021 CBJF. As the year went on, we had to reimagine Pies in the Park that is normally held at the beginning of October. We went virtual with a Facebook event. We promoted all the pizza places in Gahanna for an entire week with special emphasis on locally owned businesses, and we encouraged viewers to vote for their favorite pizza shop for best crust, best sauce, and best overall. Over 100 people voted, and the mug won 2 of the categories. They were thrilled with the publicity, and they cited an increase in sales related to the event. We reached over 13,000 Facebook users and received almost 300,000 total media impressions with this event without spending any money on advertising. Also in the month of October, we participated as a vendor during the Great Gahanna Goblin Trail, and we launched a Fall in Love with Gahanna campaign. The Cora had just launched at that point, and we wanted to give attention to it by bringing people to Creekside by hosting an activity called the Creekside Pumpkin Crawl. We encouraged individuals and businesses to enter our contest by carving, painting, or decorating pumpkins. We also asked businesses and attractions to offer specials that evening. We had a great turnout and people had fun voting for their favorite pumpkins. The Ohio Herb Center participated in the Fall Fun by offering sold-out ghost tours every Friday night in October, as well as special Halloween-themed classes that were very popular. Additionally, we created and released a video with the help of Tim Corliss that addresses what Gahanna businesses and attractions were doing to keep visitors safe during the pandemic.
Hello and welcome to Gahanna, Ohio. My name is Lori Kappas and I'm the Executive Director at Visit Gahanna. And I'm here in one of our beautiful parks. The coronavirus pandemic has impacted us all in unprecedented ways, including our travel plans. It's important to feel comfortable and safe when traveling, and we want you to know that our restaurants, hotels, and attractions are making this their #1 priority. We'd like to show you what some of them are doing to keep you safe.
We wanted to create a culture where guests could come in and immediately within their first impression of 30 seconds in our buildings feel like we're making their safety a priority. So explaining to the staff how important it is to be wearing a mask properly to keep the guests safe. We're really proud that if you walk through any of our buildings, there are hand sanitizing stations everywhere. Good hand washing stations in the bathrooms, and also giving not only the impression, but really following through with our staff sanitation and really showing our guests that we take their safety seriously.
Our patio is ranked top 3 in Columbus for one of the best patios. We've been able to take off a few tables so that we can practice social distancing. We're able to fill up the whole patio without there being any problems. All the tables are 6 feet apart. We also have a beautiful view of the fountain, and in the background we have the creek.
The other thing that we've kind of encountered is a company called SterilX. And it's a company that comes in and will completely do your entire restaurant facility building, and it kills 99.9% of all germs, kills the H1N1 and SARS. We wanted to make sure we really played by the rules and didn't try to fake it, and we're proud of the fact that we've kind of carried that torch, and our results have followed as such.
At the Ohio Herb Center, since the beginning of COVID, we have been cleaning in our classroom space and in the gift shop on a daily basis at the beginning and at the end of the day. And we are having a cleaning crew come in once a month, or if we have a larger group coming in, if we have a full class and there more cleaning is necessary, we have a cleaning crew coming in. We've also reduced the sizes of our classes to 8. We have 4 people at a table, so 8 tables are spaced apart, and all the supplies that are necessary for the class participants are at their space setting. We also carry a wide array of items that are specific to Gahanna. Right now we're carrying Ohio Herb Center masks with our logo on them, so you can spread the Herb Center love everywhere you go. We're also carrying Gahanna at a Glance prints, 43230 candles made by Honeygrow Botanicals, Gahanna Ohio signs made by White Oak Handmade Designs, t-shirts, Ohio Herb Center, and Visit Gahanna t-shirts with the Unique Story t-shirts. So we have a lot of locally made products and ways that you can represent where you're from.
First thing, the employees, when they come in, they are either sanitizing their hands or washing them. We take them to the back, we get their temperature, we ask them the questions they need to be asked, shortness of breath, the coughing, all that. We mark everything every single day. We have a sheet for that. They obviously continue to sanitize, continue to wash their hands and everything. We have the sanitation stations set up throughout the restaurant for the employees and the guests as well to sanitize throughout their visit or their shift. We do have the table dividers for the booths. We have the plastic up that gives them that safety. And then also we are spacing out the tables to the 6 feet social distancing amount that we're supposed to have. And then it's just masks on all the time, including the kitchen staff. They have them on all the time. We do have curbside here. They can do everything online. We can take their information online, as in the credit card, their payment, their tip, everything can be done online. Just 101beerkitchen.com. And they pull up to one of the signs back there. They text the number that's highlighted with their name, what parking spot they're at, and then we'll just bring it right out to them, hand each other whatever we have to do, and that's that. And we don't touch anything at all. So it's been safe for everybody involved with that. The QR codes were pretty new to us. They just scan it with their camera and the message pops up on top of their phone. They click on that and it opens up both the draft list on Untapped and then our food and beverage menu. For the people who can't access the QR codes for whatever reason, we still have paper menus that we do throw out after every use, so it's not shared at all. These are sanitized. The QR code menus are sanitized after every use when we clean the tables. What we do is, after every guest leaves, we obviously wipe down the table. We're wiping down everything. We let it dry, and then we set up the silverware and glassware with the new menus on it too. Now we're doing everything we can that we've been told to make sure our guests are safe and that they want to come back here and just enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the visit while they're here.
Marriott is a large hotel company who has obviously a lot of history and experience in dealing with all kinds of situations, and they've rolled out a lot of protocols for us to do that. Primarily, they're focused around keeping the separation between the guests and our workers, social distancing, and those types of things. From a housekeeping perspective, the biggest change is we've switched from an opt-out of our refresh cleaning, we call it, where we go back and service your room every day, to where we're doing an opt-in. So they would request that service. Otherwise, we stay out of the room as much as possible. That way there's no cross-contamination going on. We leave the rooms sit for a day or two if occupancy allows us to do that. That way we can let things die in the room before we go in and to sanitize. Then there's a much more extensive cleaning process specifically designed around additional sanitizing. In the guest rooms, we've removed any items that would be touched by the guest that cannot be wiped. For instance, the bed scarf and decorative pillows have been removed. And additionally, we've added the amenity of sanitizing wipes in every room for all the guests. Here in the public spaces, We're using an electrostatic sprayer now. So instead of wiping the surfaces, it's much more efficient and thorough. So we've invested in those sprayers, and that'll become part of our normal routine even as we come out of the pandemic. We've added a cleanliness champion that completes what we call a cleanliness certification once per month for Marriott. Very extensive. We have additional training. We do training at our daily stand-ups to remind them of the protocols. We talk a lot about wearing our personal protective equipment. At the front desk, we've installed barriers. We do a touchless check-in now, so the credit card machines are now turned guest-facing, so there's no handing over of the credit card. Additionally, we have masks, gloves, sanitizing wipes, and hand sanitizer available for the guest. We've also installed motorized hand sanitizers at every level by the elevators and throughout the public spaces, in the public restrooms. At every entrance, there's a hand sanitizer installed as well. We have signs posted in the elevators, and basically only 3 people in the elevator at any given time, and it's a triangle standing standpoint to keep the space between the people in the elevator. We have accelerated our mobile key. That way the guests can use their cell phone to check in the room. There'll be no reason for us to hand them a key or for them to hand us a key back. In the interim, all keys are sanitized, so they go into a basket, and then we glove up with PPE, and then we sanitize the keys before they're reused as well. Per state requirements, we have suspended the breakfast buffet, which is a normal offering at our hotels, and we have replaced that with a grab-and-go option, which is available for all guests every morning. We really think it's important that we take the protocols very seriously and consistently deliver on those expectations. That way, hopefully, the public can feel more confident in coming back and staying in hotels, and our industry will be much better going forward.
We can't wait to host you here in the herb capital of Ohio. When you're ready to travel again, Gahanna will be ready for you.
Then holiday time came around, and it still wasn't safe to offer the holiday light celebration in person. Instead, we held a virtual tree lighting live on Facebook, presented by Amy Paul with Emerge Real Estate. Mayor Jadwin spoke, the brass ensemble from Gahanna Lincoln High School performed, and Santa lit the beautiful tree in Creekside. The weather was less than ideal, but it didn't matter because over 3,000 viewers could enjoy the lighting from the comfort of their own homes. The Santa race was offered virtually as well with 108 participants. Then, on the eve of Christmas Eve, Visit Gahanna presented a new activity called the Creekside Luminary Walk. We placed luminaries all around the trail at Creekside and encouraged people to walk around and enjoy the beautiful lights and decorations while participating in the Cora. The Gahanna Lincoln High School Choir performed, and restaurants offered specials for the evening. The restaurants were all on a wait that evening, so we considered it a success. Throughout the month of December, we offered a holiday scavenger hunt presented by Tina Wiedebrook, a realtor with RE/MAX Connection. And with the help of Futurecom Technologies, we hosted a Santa hotline that received nearly 1,500 calls from 32 different area codes from all over the United States. We also helped to answer some of the Santa letters that were placed in the boxes around town. The Ohio Herb Center got involved in the holiday activities by offering personalized videos from Santa, as well as treat bundles that children could enjoy while viewing their special messages from Santa. Make and take craft kits and holiday gift bundles were also available at the Herb Center. Throughout the year, we had some ongoing promotions, including the Herbal Cocktail Trail. This is something we offer a different version of for every season. Local restaurants create herb-infused cocktails, and we list them on a passport that encourages people to visit the establishments and try the different cocktails. They can then turn their passports in for a prize. Stadium and Edison Brewing Company were the new establishments added to the Herbal Cocktail Trail in 2020. Something else we focus on year-round is our presence in the wedding market. Generally speaking, weddings and receptions held in Gahanna lead to hotel occupancy for out-of-town guests, which translates into lodging tax collected. So it is in our best interest to help brides with hotel room blocks, preferred vendor lists, and welcome packets and gifts. In 2020, Visit Gahanna worked with 6 brides, which is not bad considering many couples had to change plans due to COVID. Group travel is another market we concentrate on throughout the year, and one that was hit hard by the pandemic. We started 2020 with 4 motor coach groups scheduled, but they all had to cancel. We continued to advertise our group tour offerings over the year, and 2021 looks to be promising with 8 group tours scheduled so far, starting in May. Several blogs were created in 2020, which were placed on our website and promoted on social media. The topics included supporting local restaurants with carryout, outdoor activities, Mother's Day gift ideas, Gahanna area Black-owned businesses, ideas of how to spend Father's Day in Gahanna, picnic in a Gahanna park, geocaching, places to get pizza in Gahanna, fall activities, and Thanksgiving takeout options. Our overall marketing efforts for the year gave us nearly 18 million print and digital impressions and resulted in over 500 visitor guide requests. As far as social media goes, we reached over 261,000 Facebook users over the year, and we now have over 25,000 followers across all social media channels. Our staff continues to be involved in several organizations, either as a member or serving on boards and committees. We want to stay connected with local, state, and national organizations whenever it makes sense to do so. Here are some of the organizations we are involved in. Last but not least, I'd like to say more about the Ohio Herb Center. Although classes weren't able to happen from mid-March through mid-June, when we started offering them again, we did so with limited capacity, temperature checks, and with all other safety measures in place. They continued to be popular, and the revenue from the classes in 2020 exceeded 2019, even with the shutdown. In the gift shop, we added additional inventory as well as themed gift bundles that could be purchased online for contactless pickup. I'm happy to say that the gift shop sales also exceeded 2019, which is great considering the gift shop was closed for 3 months. On the marketing and promotional side of things for the Ohio Herb Center, we relied heavily on social media since our limited budget did not support much in the way of paid advertising. We added new features including gift shop spotlights, tea time, ask an herbalist, and more, all of which were well received. The Ohio Herb Center gained over 200 new followers over the year, and posts consistently had a good amount of engagement. Overall, with the exception of our budget taking more than a 60% hit, both organizations did well, especially in terms of staying relevant and promoting what Gahanna has to offer. I have high hopes for 2021, and it is already looking up. At this time, I'd like to introduce one of our speakers for today, Brian Ross, who is the President and CEO of Experience Columbus. Brian is responsible for leading destination sales and marketing efforts to attract conventions, trade shows, meetings, and leisure visitors to the greater Columbus region. Ross assumed the leadership role at Experience Columbus in 2013 after serving as the organization's Vice President of Sales for 6 years. At Experience Columbus, Ross has set his sights on growing the local tourism economy along with its widespread economic benefits to the entire community.
It's an honor to be part of Visit Gahanna's annual meeting. I would like to thank Lori for this opportunity. She is a tremendous advocate for Gahanna and the travel economy. I will discuss the travel economy in terms of pre-COVID-19, the impact of COVID-19, adapting to COVID-19, and the recovery. Please know that Visit Gahanna and Gahanna are included in all of these discussion points. The travel economy is a driver for Central Ohio's economy. In 2019, we welcomed 43 million visitors who spent $8 billion in visitor spending. and supported 79,000 jobs. Also generated over $50 million in bed tax. It's the #1 revenue generator for the Greater Columbus Arts Council. It also supports 30 human service organizations and the Affordable Housing Trust. Also, it generates over $30 million in sales tax for Franklin County to help with their services and CODA. So it gives you an idea of how important pre-COVID the travel economy was. Now, the impact of COVID has had a devastating effect on our economy. Hospitality and leisure are the polar opposite of social distancing and limited gatherings. This all came to fruition for me personally, and probably for a lot of you, last March during the Arnold Sports Festival weekend. That weekend, we found out that we were not able to allow any of the international travelers to come to Columbus, and we also had to severely downsize the Arnold Sports Festival in a very short period of time. Also, that's when we found out about shelter in place, which again is something that is not good for any business. We lost over 47,000 jobs, or 46% of the jobs in the hospitality economy in Central Ohio in February and April. Over 2020, we lost 26% of those jobs permanently at this point in time, which is 26,000 jobs. Also, our prized cultural attractions are closed and severely reduced in attendance. Restaurants, bars are closed and severely reduced for occupancies. Hotels are running 20% occupancy. They've lost over $280 million in revenue through 2020. And Experience Columbus and the Greater Columbus Sports Commission for the year 2020 lost 240 events representing 274,000 room nights and over $226 million in visitor spend. So we had to adapt to COVID. And through that, we shifted to local support. We kept media dollars in market, shared content on what there is to do in your own backyard, including curbside pickup for shopping, carry-out meals, gift certificates, and staycations. Live Forward came about. It revealed a new brand positioning during a time where resiliency, creativity, and being forward-thinking was more important than ever. Engagement with health and safety was at the very forefront. So health and safety, we started the Live Forward Pledge. And the Forward, FWD, stands for Follow, Wear, and Distancing. And the GBOC Star Accreditation, which is the Global Biorisk Advisory Council's accreditation for health and safety in facilities. More than 200 partners signed up for this pledge. 4 partners have already achieved the Global Biorisk Advisory Council Star Accreditation. The Hyatt Place in Dublin, Worthington, OSU, Hyatt Regency, the Greater Columbus Convention Center, and John Glenn International Airport. 3 additional partners are pursuing this accreditation. One is CODA, which would be the first citywide transportation system in the country to have the GBOC Star accreditation. So health and safety, again, is at the forefront of our adapting to COVID-19. We also started innovative engagements. Mobile experiences through our Bandwango, which actually allowed people to download over 1,900 passes for different attractions and cultural events from July through December. Direct hotel bookings through Route Res, we actually booked over 100 nights through September. Chatbot, which is the artificial intelligence conversation with customers. This is currently on Facebook Messenger, ExperienceColumbus.com, and Amazon Alexa. We had more than 1,500 messages since March that were launched with the chatbot. We also debuted the Virtual Sports Report, connected community to local sports organizations and different figures of prominence in our community. Over 857 total registrations, and we earned over 668 earned media clips, including stories in ESPN, the New York Times, and Golf Digest. So that was very successful, how we were able to pivot and bring the sports, which we all know is important to all of our psyches here in Columbus, virtually to individuals. We also launched the Live Forward podcast, which we recorded 14 episodes with more than 2,000 downloads and live plays to date. These are the untold stories of the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, the National Veterans Memorial Museum, many different attractions, and again, cultural experiences in our community that you hear about the things that were a part of how they were created and some of the special things that happens. We also curated 360 virtual tours of attractions, hotels, meeting centers, and more through partnerships with Threshold 360 and Matterport to give people the opportunity to have people visit their small businesses virtually. We shared compelling content. We started the Columbus Gift Guide, which was one of our top site pages of the year. Over 128 gifts from 57 local businesses were featured. We received over 37,000 unique page views for these gifts. We shared blog posts with lists of Black-owned businesses, LGBTQ-owned businesses, and Latinx-owned businesses, which were some of our most visited pages. Heavily increased our partner spotlights on social channels that developed new content series to connect partners with residents. Hundreds of local businesses were featured throughout the year. More than 80 partners were spotlighted on regular contests such as Trivia Tuesdays, Live Forward Fridays, and behind-the-scenes story takeovers. Our PR efforts drove more than 1 billion impressions, a year-over-year increase of 30%. Placements were in key publications such as Forbes, USA Today, Travel and Leisure, Martha Stewart Living, and more. So now we're in what we hope becomes the recovery period. And really what is going to drive the recovery are the vaccines and therapeutic drugs, which we know right now is being administered. So really January through May, we see that being a big part of how we get out of the challenges we're in the travel economy. And through the recovery, there's really a sequence of how we see the recovery happening. It starts locally. We need to engage our residents and students, support local. Restaurants, attractions, hotels, small businesses, we need to get out and support them. Staycations, we need rooms in our local hotels, whether it's in Gahanna, Columbus, anywhere in Central Ohio, and enjoy those local experiences, whether that's with our significant others, our friends, or our families. We know that after the residents and our students and just our local individuals start the economy forward, we're going to need the leisure travel to really take its place in this recovery. 43 million visitors come to our community, as I stated earlier. 54% of those come to see family and relatives. We know that's 20 million individuals, just by simple math. Now, We also know that in September through December, the arena will more than likely be welcoming back live events. Hopefully, Ohio State football will be playing. There will be a lot of things going on in our community to help drive leisure tourism back into our market. And then we also have the business travel. Right now, we know that more than 54% of employees are expecting to have their employees back in their offices by August. So we will have little business travel until around the August time period, and then we'll start to see some business travel come into the market, which is important to us. And then the last to start the recovery will be the conventions and events. Right now we have virtually no events and conventions that are happening through the first 6 months of the year, and we do believe, based on all the data that we've been able to see, that 6 in 10 organizations plan on having face-to-face meetings in the second half of the year. So that's something that we can look forward to. People are ready to travel again, but not until later in the year. Nearly 80% of Americans have at least tentative trip plans for sometime next year. I think most of us have our little carts on our computers saved with many trip options. 63% of people have plans in the next 6 months. Almost 60% plan to take their trips no later than March. And almost 60% of meeting organizations plan to have their first in-person meetings later in the year. So all the data continues to give us great optimism on the second part of 2021. Drive destinations are poised to really come out of the COVID pandemic in the best scenario. And we are a drive destination. 72% of all of our visitors drive here. And people know the first thing they want to do is go visit friends and also family, and they are much more comfortable in taking a car to do that. So we're in a wonderful position as that travel begins. So the forecast is good news. All data, as I said, indicates a tremendous amount of pent-up demand for visitation. Travel is the #1 expense for disposable income. How can Gahanna's businesses and residents get involved? Take the Live Forward pledge. Health and safety will always be the top priority for welcoming visitors back. Support local. Carry out or dine in, take a staycation, and visit attractions or participate in virtual experiences to help generate a lot of energy and get our attractions, our restaurants, our hotels on a good foundation to be successful moving forward. Thank you.
We are also thrilled to have Melinda Huntley with us today. Melinda is the Executive Director of the Ohio Travel Association, a nonprofit organization supporting the Ohio travel economy and the businesses who depend on visitor spending. Led by industry leaders, the Ohio Travel Association provides leadership and backs smart policies that increase travel in Ohio and helps our businesses grow. The Ohio Travel Association also produces the State Tourism Conference, keeps the industry up to date on market trends and news, and provides professional development for the travel industry.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your annual meeting. I really appreciate it, and I'm so glad that you're there to support the Gahanna Visitors Bureau. It's so important, never more important than right now. So I would like to talk to you about a few things. And, I think one of the things we can start off with was just in defining what tourism is. A lot of people think that is about, more long distance trips, or I'm going to come in and I'm going to spend 2 or 3, days with you. What the reality is, and what we've experienced in the last year, is a loss of travel. And how that is defined is 50 miles or more one way. So it's what happens when people aren't introduced to Gahanna, whether it's by attending a business meeting or coming to dinner or visiting one of your attractions, because travel really encompasses both business, both leisure. But keep in mind, we're talking about moving people from one community to another, and it's about 50 miles or more. So a little bit about myself. I'm the director of the Ohio Travel Association. We are a nonprofit organization that's led by business leaders. And so our mission is to support those who depend on that traveler spending or who want more of that traveler spending. And, I think we first should probably address, the elephant in the room, and that is what has happened in the past year. And if we look at what the pandemic has done for Ohio's hospitality and, tourism industry, we have experienced, I'm going to say $12.8 billion in loss, but to be honest, I just 15 minutes ago got new numbers. And we are now at a $13.6 billion loss in traveler spending. This is devastating, right? So even in January, we are still down 34% in spending. That's business revenue than we were, from last year at this time. And 81% of that loss, or I should say we experienced 81% losses in April, 71% loss in May. When we were shut down, when the restrictions were in place, that created the most drop in revenue. So think about that. Like when your business loses 81% of revenue, in 1 month. Since the restrictions were eased, some were able to operate. Others are still under very, very strict guidelines, making it really difficult for us to recover. So you can see the losses continue each month, and we continue to add. What does that mean in terms of jobs? It's been devastating. Basically we've lost 131,000 Ohio jobs related to our industry, and 35% of all jobs lost in 2020 came from this economy. So if we look at another way, 1 out of 4 of our employees are out of work. And these losses continue. Just looking at December numbers, the unemployment figures in December, 80% of those jobs that were lost were those that were working in hotels and restaurants and attractions and all the many other businesses that depend on travel. So I want to start with that because I think to really understand the impact, you have to get an idea of the bigger picture. And we have to understand what travel does, what the work of the Visitors Bureau does to the economy. And we can start off by looking at 2019 numbers. Now, understanding that 2019 was a record year, so we entered this pandemic coming off yet another year of growth. And tourism in Ohio equated to about $38 billion in traveler spending. So remember, we've lost $13.6 billion. In 2019, there was $38 billion spent directly in exchanges with businesses. So that could be hotels, it could be meeting spaces, it could be restaurants, it could be retail shops, right? When we travel, we spend money, and we spent a lot, $38 billion. A lot of people stop and they think, okay, that's the story. Oh, it's a bigger story than that. Let's think about what happens when that hotel or winery has to purchase goods and services in order to operate. So a hotel has to purchase maybe accounting services, maybe, manufactured goods, maybe, new beds, maybe a museum has an expansion. They end up buying construction services or engineering services or agricultural services. So there is an $10 billion spent in 2019 on the goods and services that our businesses needed in order to operate. So when we look at what happened with the lack of spending, understand there's a trickle-down effect that's going to occur because our businesses won't have the money to spend elsewhere. So if we look in 2019, the overall impact of travel to the Ohio economy was $48 billion. All right, so we can say, okay, that is the expenditure, and it's a big number. It's a huge number. What does that mean in terms of jobs? Well, prior to the pandemic, we ended up 2019, we had 431,000 Ohioans employed by travel and tourism and hospitality jobs in the state. And a lot of people think of, oh, maybe those are frontline jobs. Couldn't be farther from the truth. In reality, more than half of those jobs are professional career jobs. They're general managers, engineers, right? Maybe they're human resources, IT folks. These are all business jobs that are in place because hotels and attractions and museums and everything else, they're businesses. And so they need these professionals to make them tick. We just don't often see them. We tend to see, when we travel, more of the frontline folks. But I think there's also a lack of understanding of how important those frontline jobs. So yes, we have the huge number of career professionals. They're the ones that are also laid off right now, but we also have frontline experiences. And honestly, we've done a lot of work with the Governor's Office of Transformation, and we've been able to see that, these frontline jobs offer experiences that are often overlooked in workforce development. If you look at what's important, what all of our, industries are saying, regardless of what industry they represent, people are looking for employees who are reliable, who have a good work ethic, who are punctual, who have critical thinking skills, who are able to converse with customers. The experiences gained in our frontline work, making Ohioans more employable, period. And we actually did some work linking the Ohio Means Jobs career readiness seal to our frontline workers. And there was that direct correlation. So when these frontline employees aren't at work, that's a lost opportunity for making Ohioans employable. All right, but how does travel support communities? So we've said, here's the economic impact. Here is why it's important for jobs. Travel also supports communities and teachers and libraries and safety services and everything else that we all depend on in our community. Huge amount of taxes, local, state, and federal taxes are generated, they're paid for by travelers when they come into a community and they spend money. So if we look, again, I'll just look at the most recent data from a local tax perspective, we've lost $238 million in local taxes in Ohio because of the fact that people aren't able to travel. So why visit Gahanna, right? So why visit Gahanna? What is their role in this? Well, they help keep this cycle going. We know for a fact that when a community promotes itself, they attract people. People spend money, people spend taxes, and that creates that entire cycle of job growth, job creation, and job retention, and supports businesses as well as what's important to the community. We know when people see ads or they see messages, positive messages about a community, they spend more and they stay longer. But it also changes the perception. So there's been studies done that actually show that when an individual sees an ad about a destination such as Gahanna, and when they visit a community such as Gahanna, that it changes their perception of Gahanna as a place to live, as a place to work, as a place to start a business. So just looking at some Ohio data, and if we look at how did people's perception change about Ohio as a place to start a business, if they had visited or they seen an ad that resulted in a visit to Ohio, they were 185% more likely to view the state as a good place to start a business. That's huge. So when we look at what we need to recover, when we look at what needs to happen, there's several, it's kind of a twofold process or threefold. One, we need to provide economic relief, more economic relief for these businesses, again, that not only suffered devastating decreases during the shutdown, but subsequent restrictions on their operations mean they're not getting additional business. 91% of the business we surveyed said that the revenue losses they incurred, which averaged about 52%, mind you, 70% of that was due to the shutdown. Over 50% was due to the ongoing restrictions, and only 17% was due to changes in consumer behavior because of the pandemic. What we have found is that, businesses are resilient, they're adaptable, and they're making things work, but we need to allow them the opportunity to conduct business in a safe manner and do that as soon as possible. So what does the future look like? Well, I wish I had a crystal ball and could tell you all of that. But here's what I know. When we look at some national figures, they are predicting that the leisure market will recover first and will be close to recovery by 2023, beginning of 2024 on a national basis. Business market, business travel, little later to recover, in part because of the ongoing restrictions that are in place. However, I believe Ohio can recover sooner. I believe communities like Gahanna can recover sooner. And why? We are a regional drive market, and that's what travelers want to do right now. They want places where they can take road trips, and they want to be able to drive in their own car and visit. We're perfectly settled. We already have a handle on that market. This is good. We're also an affordable destination, and we will start to see some of perhaps what's happened impact people's pocketbooks. So we're affordable, we're close to a lot of people, we're a regional drive market, and we have the assets that people want right now. The small towns, the rural areas, the places they can enjoy, paddling on a river, all of those experiences are what they're searching for right now. So I want to applaud all of you for being engaged in this conversation. We are all going to have to work together. I feel optimistic that Ohio will recover at a faster pace than everyone else, but it will really require all of us working together in order to make that happen. So thank you for being there for Visit Gahanna, and have a great day.
Thank you, Brian and Melinda. We appreciate your information and insights. You are both valuable assets to the tourism industry. In closing, I would like to thank Lori Kappas, the staff, our board of directors, and the city representatives for their time, foresight, expertise, and guidance that they bring our organization. I would also like to thank you for watching and tuning in. I hope that you join us as we look forward to a revived community in 2021. To stay up to date with Visit Gahanna events and announcements, please follow us on Facebook and Instagram and sign up for our newsletter on visitgahanna.com. Thank you for watching.